Good morning, everyone. Today we are going to discuss a topic of exception handling. Exception handling is nothing but suppose you are getting an error. How can you handle those errors? Normally, suppose if you are running a program in a 100 line or the 200 line, you are getting an error, right? If you are getting an error, what it will do? It will terminate the entire program and stop the execution. In such scenarios, when you are getting those errors, without interrupting the program, you have to be handled. That means in between, before completion of your execution of a program, when the errors will be get, you have to be handled. Suppose in a scenario you are performing a division operation for a two numbers. Normally, when it will throw an error is, suppose you are trying to divide a number by a 0. If you are trying to divide a number by a 0, then you are getting an exception, right? Then you are getting an exception. In such scenarios, what it will do? It will terminates the program. It will comes out from the program. Instead of that, you have to be handle those error, and entire program has to be execute normally. That was you have to be done. That you can done by using an exception handling. How can you do the exception handling is simply when you are getting an exception, how can you handle? That will be the concept of exception handling. Here in the exception handling concept, there are the mainly two types of exception we have. One is checked exceptions. Another one is runtime exceptions or unchecked exceptions. Checked exceptions or unchecked exceptions. Two types. Checked exceptions also called compile time exceptions. Normally, runtime exceptions, compile time exceptions, or checked exceptions or unchecked exceptions. There are the two types of exceptions. When someone asked how many types of exceptions we have, there are the two types of exceptions. One was checked exceptions, another one was unchecked exceptions. Checked exceptions are nothing but those are compile time exceptions. That means you are intimating to your compiler which error or the which exception you are getting. Okay. First, before discussing those things, first you have to know what is an exception. Exception is nothing but unwanted error which will terminate your entire program. Exception is unwanted execution or the unwanted error which terminates your execution flow. Okay. Unwanted error which terminates your execution flow, it will called as an exception. Okay. First, right, where we have a different types of exception, where we have null pointer exception, we have the arithmetic exceptions, we have array index out of bound exception, we have the file not found exception, we have the class not found exception, we have a lot IO exceptions, SQL exceptions. There are several exceptions we have. Some are we will discuss. Okay. First, you have to be understand what is an exception, and when the exception occur, how can you handle. Okay. Simply, I can execute a program. Exceptions is the class. Okay. I can create a new package, my new Java package as a name of day 16. Okay, here I can create a exception class. Exceptions. Okay, fine. First I can include a main method. Why? Because I have to run the class. Fine. Now I can execute one program of simply like suppose I can read two numbers. Suppose you want to read the two numbers, first you have to be scanner sc new scanner of system.in. Okay, I have to import this. Import java.util.scanner or util.star. Anything will be fine. Okay, I can create a one scanner class to read two numbers. One was a int a, other one was the int b. Okay, a equals to sc dot next int. Suppose it is an integer, so first I can write a one print statement here. This out of enter a. Okay, and enter a the same way. And enter b. Okay, simply I am performing the sys out of a by b. Okay, I am performing the a by b. Simply it is fine, right? Now I can run a program. Simply if I give like a normal values of suppose I can give a normal values of 12 and 4, then it will give say 3 as an output. Suppose if I run this again, when can you not divisible? If your dividend is a 0, right? 12 and the 0. Now it will throws an exception. Now it will throws an exception. The exception is com.day 16. Yet normally we are calling it as error stack trace. Suppose when you are finding an error, first you have to be read which error you are getting. Okay, where you are getting. Okay, in the exceptions is your class name, right? It is my class name. In this class name I am getting error at the 11th line. I am getting error at the 11th line. Fine. In this 11th line, 12th line. 12th line I am getting the error. And which type of error it is? Java.lang.arithmetic exception. It is the error of arithmetic exception. What is the error? Division by 0. You can't divide a number by 0. This is the way you have to be understand your error. Suppose fine, in a scenario I can create a method here, void method 1. Okay, void method 1 of int a comma int b. Okay, simply what the division operation I am performing in the main method I can perform here. Sys out of a by b. Okay, simply, but here what I have to do, first I have to create an object for the exceptions class, right? For the exceptions class I can create an object. Exceptions, suppose ex equals to new exceptions of. Okay, now I have to call the method, right? Ex dot method 1. Okay, a comma b. Now I'll run this. The same, I can enter an one value and one 0. Suppose I can enter a value of 13 here, and I can enter the value of 0. Okay. Now, where you are getting an error is, first come from bottom. Okay. Come from the bottom. When you are getting an error, read from the last line. Okay. First you are getting an error at Java 16th line. Okay. Remember that, Java 16th line, and in Java 5th line, where it is, first it is a main method, and after it is the method 1. What is an error? Arithmetic exception. If you observe here, first where I can call this method, here, right? Example dot method 1, it is the 16th line. Here my first error trace will be start. Next, method 1, where it exists, the line here in the 5th line. Okay, in the 5th line it will get the error. Fine. What is the error? It is a type of arithmetic exception. It is a type of arithmetic exception. And the which type of exception it is a, we are calling as a error message. It is a division by 0. It is the division by 0 error. Okay, arithmetic exception and a error of division by 0. Okay, fine. This is the way you have to be analyze where you are getting an error. Okay, when you are getting an error, you have to be analyze it. That is the thing. Now the scenario is, how can you handle this error? Suppose it has to be work for the all the remaining things. It only fails for when your B is a 0, right? So first we can discuss the runtime exception. You have to use try blocks and the catch block. Okay, must you have to use try block and the catch block. Try block is nothing but, suppose a part of a code you are assuming that it will throws an error. A part of a code you are assuming that it will throws an error. Then that code you have to be placed. Suppose where I am getting an error before, this out of A by B. From this line I am getting an error. So I am moving this line to this try block. In this statement I am getting the error. So I can go this way. In a which statement or which block of lines you are getting an error, you have to be place that code into the try block. Normally try means what, you have to be try it once, right? Like the same way, try block, try, if it will gets an error, here I am getting an error. Why? Because try block must be with a catch block, or else it with a finally block. Okay, for a suppose catch block, you have to understand the terms here. One is try, another one is catch. In the catch block you have to mention or pass an parameter as a exception class. Suppose you know which exception will be erasing. Arithmetic exception, right? Arithmetic exception is erasing, so I can go with this. Okay, and simply you can print here sys out of e dot print stack trace, we calling it. Okay, then simply you can remove this, right? This print stack trace is a method. This print stack trace is a method. What it will do is what the error you are getting, it will print all of that. And I can print a statement here, sys out of program ended. Okay, program ended. Suppose if I am not, for a while I will do a thing, I will comment this. Okay, the same statement, sys out of A by B. Here I am not handling the error. After this statement I have the another statement to print. Okay, after this statement I have another statement to print. you can observe if you are getting an error here, then this statement executes or not. Okay, first. Suppose I can enter a value of 11 and the value of 0. Okay, it will throws the error, but and also it terminates the entire program. It will not execute this one, right? Why? Because you are getting error at this statement, so you are not able to move forward. In a same scenario, I can comment this. I can go with the exception handling. Okay, I can go with the exception handling. Now I'll check this. I can enter a value of 12 and I can enter a value of 0. Now it will print catch block and here the last statement program. It will not terminate your program. It will not terminate your program. It will normal execution flow when this error will be occur. If you are getting any error in the try block, it will goes to the catch block. It will goes to the catch block. Suppose here you are getting an arithmetic exception. Here you are getting an arithmetic exception. So it will go to this catch block. Okay, go to this catch block. Suppose if you don't know about which exception you are getting, then simply you can use a class of exception here. If you don't aware about the which exception you are getting, then you can simply place this exception class. Exception is not a base class here. Normally exception is a major class which can be inherited from a throwable class. Okay, normally exception class first inherited from the runtime exception. You can see here, this is the exception class. Exception class can be inherited from the throwable exception. Okay, you can get from the throwable exception. So throwable is the parent class for the all exceptions. Remember the thing, which is the parent class for the all exceptions is throwable. Okay, throwable is the parent class for the all exceptions, not the exception class. Throwable is the parent class for the all exceptions. Suppose if you will see here, it is the throwable. Throwable implements by serialize. It is one interface. So interface we are not considered as a parent. So throwable is the parent class for all exceptions. Suppose if you are not remember it, I can do the same arithmetic. Okay. Arithmetic exception. Arithmetic exception extends from the runtime exception. Normally, this runtime exception extend from the exception class. Okay, it is like a serialization from the parent class to the child. First parent class is a throwable. From the throwable inherited by exception class. From that runtime exception. From that normal exceptions, arithmetic exceptions, all the exceptions you have, all can be under runtime exception. But the parent class is a throwable. Throwable is the parent class. In the normal programming of a Python and C and all, parent class is the exception. Okay, but in the Java, the parent class for the all exceptions is a throwable. Okay, fine. This will be fine, right? Runtime exception class inherited from the throw. Suppose if you are not aware about which exception was erasing, then simply you can use the exception as a base class, okay, to getting the error. Okay, simply what it means is, suppose if you are using here one class, it is an object for that class. Normally in a method you are passing like int comma a or string comma a, like that you are passing, right? the same way you are passing here also. It is one data type, here you are using a reference variable for that data type. Okay, fine. Suppose how can you handle the multiple exceptions? Here you have to be know the things. What are they? Is one try, another catch, okay, third one throw, or finally, okay, fourth one throw. These are under runtime exceptions. Next, throws, okay, it is for the compile time exception. Compile time exceptions, okay. Runtime exceptions and compile time exception. Fine. Okay, first we'll know that try is nothing but, suppose what the code or what the blocks of code you are assuming that you are getting an error or chance to getting an error, that has to be placed under the try block. In a catch block, suppose you are getting an error, how you want to be handle that error, okay, how you want to be handle that error, you can have to be right here. Suppose here I simply write e.printstruct. Suppose you can write like sys out of division by, or you can simply like that e.get message. Message is nothing but in before you are see the entire error, right? In the entire error part, suppose this is the message part. We are saying that it is a message part. It is a message part which it has to be displayed. Okay. E.get message, and suppose E is nothing but he is your object here. In that object you are calling this get message method. Suppose if you observe, this get message method will be exist in that exception class where it is here, right? Control F, get message, yes, here. Super message, exception is of super message. Super means it will be in a throwable, right? Here, throwable, string message and a message here. Okay, get message is the method here. You can get the get message like this. Normally you have already a predefined classes. You are using the predefined classes and the methods in your existing programming. Okay, you can print anything. You can handle, suppose in the catch block you can handle like error occurred, whatever you want you can handle. Suppose you want to perform another program here, you can write inside a block, you can write anything, right? Inside a block you can write anything you want, you can write it. Which block can be executed when is the scenario? Suppose if I enter all the things will be the fine, suppose 12/3, then it will print that try block statement and it will go for the next things. When the error will be erasing only, that will be the case. They have to be, they are declaring a thing. Okay, that means catch block only executes when you are getting an error in the try block. When you are getting an error in the try block only, you are getting the this catch block execution part, or else you are not getting. Entire program will be in normal flow. Okay, and it will not stop the entire flow of your program. It will be just executes your catch block and move forward. Okay, suppose in a scenario I have a finally block also. Okay, in a scenario what it will do is suppose I have another thing. Okay, I have another thing of int. For a while I can remove all these things. Okay, simply I can take int a equals to 12 and int b equals to 0. Fine, and a by b, it will be always. I can take here an array arr equals to, okay, new int of 5. Okay, new int of 5. Fine, it is one array, but what was the size I am declared to this? 5. That means array indexes are from 0 to 4, right? If I try to access array of 5, then what it will throw an array index out of bound error, right? Suppose I'll do a thing of here only I can print like sys out of error of 5. Okay, error of 5. For a while I can go with the b value as 1. Now I can get an error at here. Here I can place like arithmetic exception. Okay, arithmetic exception, and here I am using like two things. One was performing the division, one was print the array index, what was the 5th index value. Okay, and I'll run this. Exception in thread main. Okay, in the line 13. Where is the line 13? Here the line 13 you are getting an error. Okay, 5 out of bounds for the length 5, index 5 out of bounds for length 5, array index out of bound exception, array index out of bounds exceptions, you are getting the error. But here I am writing a catch block, right? Here I am writing a catch block, but it will not execute this catch block. Why? Because here I am writing the catch block for arithmetic exception, but I am getting an exception of array index out of bounds. So this catch block not executes. It will not print this statement also, program ended, if you observe. Why? Because this exception you are not handling. The exception was arising, but you are not handling this exception. Suppose in place of the arithmetic exception, you can place that exception, then it will be execute. Why? Because you are not mentioning any specific exception here, arithmetic exception or array index out of bound exception, like that. Okay, you are not mentioning anything, so it will be execute this catch block. If you are particularly mention anything, then it will be execute. Suppose for a while, okay, arithmetic exception I can use another catch block. Okay, another catch block. In the another catch block I can use the, what is the error, array index out of bounds, array index out of bounds exception. Array index out of bounds exception, and simply I can print like array out of bound. Okay, array out of bound. Class file was not written, the project may inconsist. Okay, build field, oh sorry, what happened here is I am using a variable, but a variable already initializing with a integer type. It is a syntax error. Array out of bound executes. That means which statement is it was executing? This catch block. It was executed this catch block. That means it will be depends on the exception arising when you have a multiple catch blocks. When you have a multiple catch blocks, it will be execute a finding exception. Suppose it will be exception of the array arithmetic exception, then it will execute the this catch block. But must you have to use one try block, only one try block. You can able to use multiple catches, but you can't able to use multiple tries. Suppose if I use another try here, okay, here I can use that this one. If you are trying to use another try block here, then you have to must place another catch block, or else you can place entire try statements in a single, and you can use a multiple catches. All will be the fine. Everything will be fine. You can try. You can go with the another try block, or else you can use the existing try block and you can use the catch block here. Suppose, or else you have a finally. Finally is nothing but finally block. What it will do is this out of program ended. Okay, program ended. Simply I can remove this. Okay, program ended. Okay, I'll remove this. What the finally block will be do is, irrespective of the try block execution or not, the finally block will be executed. If you observe here, in a scenario, run Java, I can execution of a array out of bound, and also the program ended. If irrespective of execution of a try block or catch block, the finally block will be executed. That means you are getting an error or you are not getting any error, then your finally block must execute. Why the finally block helps to is, suppose when you want to clear some instances, or you want to clear the catches, or you want to clear the garbage collections, then you can write entire thing in a finally block. What the finally block will do is, a finally block is like a final statement in the, not a program, in the execution. Suppose if you write anything here as a program ended last, okay, program ended last, okay, it will be in the flow. But what was the purpose of finally block is, irrespective of the execution of try block or irrespective of execution of catch block, your finally block must will be executed. Then what is the purpose of the final block is, you have to write some scenarios of clear the resources or clear the memory, then you have to be use this finally block, in a real world scenario. So you have to be remember what is the purpose of. Already I tell to you, must you have to use one thing with the try. Suppose you are not using the any catch block here. Suppose you are not using any catch block here, then it will throw an error. Suppose, okay, it will throw an error. Why? Because a try block statement will be expecting one catch block or else one finally block. You can place one finally block, or else you can place one catch block, at least one catch block after the try. So you have to be remember, try never be an alone. It will be paired up with a catch or finally. It will pair up with the catch or finally. If you run this, if you are getting an error, if you are not getting an error, you getting an error. What is that error? It will execute at the finally block. If you observe here, I am not handling this. What it will do? It will execute this finally block statement. but it will not execute this last statement. Why? Because it is in a programming, okay, it is in a normal execution of program, but finally block thing is either exception raises or not raising, the finally block must execute, the finally block must execute irrespective of the exception, irrespective of exception your finally block must execute. So it will be execute this, it will be execute this, and you are getting an exception, it will be print that exception. Okay, okay. Here you already seen that how can you handle the multiple exceptions in a single thing, like you can write the multiple catch blocks, you can handle it, or else you can handle it in a single catch block, or else you can handle it in a single catch block. How can you handle it in a single catch block? Is simply you can place a or symbol here, and you can place the what are the exceptions you are expecting, all can be in a single line. Suppose you are expecting another exception here, you can place that, you can place that exception. For all the exceptions, for all the exceptions you are getting the E as an object. So remember a thing, suppose here I have a B, okay, B0, and array also index out of bound 5. Then if I am printing this E dot get message, what it will be display? It will be a division by 0, or else it will be a index out of bound. Which error it will be display? Suppose okay, in a normal catch blocks, suppose now here I have a B0, okay, here I have a B0, then which exception will be executed first? Why? Because here I am getting the two exceptions, one was division by 0, another one was array index out of bound. Then which exception will be erased? Just a common sense now, just a common sense. Your Java is a interpreter type of language, so it will be executed from top line to the bottom line. So which exception will become first? In before also you are getting the array index out of bound exception. Why? Because your first statement not throws any exception, so this statement only throws the exception, so it will be execute this catch block. If this first statement will throws an exception, if this first statement will throws an exception, then it will be arithmetic exception only, it will be execute, right? Array occurred division by 0. Suppose in a scenario I can place this statement in a top, I can place this statement in the top. Okay. What it will throws? Array out of bound. Array out of bound. Why? Because what was the first exception it will throws? In the try block, the first exception it will get is array index out of bound. Array index out of bound. So it will goes to the catch block of array index out of blocks. Okay, array index out of bound. Okay, that means it depends on the try block which exception you are getting. Okay, like the way, that means depends on the exception you are getting in a try block, it will be execute that statement. In the same scenario, okay, fine. You can use the exceptions. Where it is? Okay, you can handle the exceptions in a single catch block also. How can you handle that exceptions in a single catch block is simply you can place here, and what do you have, array index out of bound, right? Array index out of bound. Wait a minute. At least you have to remember some names of which are the exceptions. All of you can remember that arithmetic exception and array index out of bound exception, right? Okay, here you can get the e dot get message, depends on the which error it will be erasing. Suppose it will get the arithmetic exception, then it will execute this exception. Suppose you are getting the array index out of bound exception, then it will execute this array out of bound message. Okay, here we are remember the things of 3. One was the try block. Try blocks to you are getting an error. Where you are getting an error, you have to be execute that block of statements in the try block, and in a catch block you have to be handle the error which you are getting in a try block, and a finally block, irrespective of the exception erasing or not, finally block must execute it. Okay, multiple exceptions you can handle by using the multiple catches, or else by using a single catch block. Okay, or else by using a single catch block, anything will be the fine. Okay, and another thing, throw. What is the purpose of throw? Okay, throw. An exception. Okay, here I can use an exception as a class. Suppose here I can print sys dot error, right? If you are using a throw, your throw is a final statement in a block. You can suppose catch means you are catching that error, throw means again you are throw back that error. That means again you are throw back that error. That simply new you can use that suppose arithmetic exception. Arithmetic exception throw new of arithmetic exception. Okay, simply if I run this, what it is, if you observe here, what I am getting, exception in the thread main, Java lang arithmetic exception. But if you observe the message here, what was the message I am getting? Arithmetic exception. What was I am given here? What is I am given here? It will take it as a message. That means you are intent to create a custom exceptions. If you are intent to create a custom exceptions, then it is the way you can create the custom exceptions. Or else throw new is the thing. Suppose array index out of bound. In the array index out of bound exception, you have to be change the things. Suppose you are not mentioning anything, it will be default message, it will be do. That means what the throw will be do is, throw function or the throw keyword helps to you to throw the error. Normally it will be, suppose if you observe here, after the throw it will not execute this last statement. Okay, last statement, it will not execute that last statement, it will be behaving like a previous one, but the change is you are handling those by using your customized names. That is the thing you have to be understand. But after the throw I try to write another statement. Okay, after the throw I will try to write another statement. It will throws the error. Why? Because throw is the final statement in the block. Why? Because after the throw means it will be again throw back that error. What it will be get? If you are using that, it will not execute the below statements. So throw is the final statement in a block. Above throw you can write the multiple statement, but below throw you are not able to write a single statement. Okay, this is the throw is nothing but you have to write your customized messages in a exceptions, then throw will be helps to you like a custom handling of your errors. Okay, fine. This is the runtime exception. Simply you don't know the error will be get or no. Why? Because you are not intimating to your compiler you are getting that error or not. You are not intimating to your compiler. Simply you are using here. If you are getting in the runtime, you are getting an error, it will execute based on that. But you are not intimating to your compiler, you have a chance to get that error. Now I will show that we are calling this unchecked exceptions. Now I can show the checked exception. Checked exceptions. fine. A by B. Checked exceptions always declare at the method level. Checked exceptions has to be declared at the method level. Suppose here throws throws arithmetic exception. Normally you are declaring here what the exception you can expecting. Suppose here I can simply use that I comment this. You can use the 0 here. Okay. You are getting an exception of division by 0. That means arithmetic exception you are getting normally, but this is a runtime exception, right? What the exception we have to be used is class not found exception we have there, and SQL exception we have there. IO exceptions are there, but for the IO exceptions you know the file readings. Okay, for the unchecked exceptions, I will show another one. Wait a minute. We have the checked exceptions of normally we can use the checked exceptions at servlets a lot. We can get the exceptions or checked exceptions. One you can get the SQL injection exception when you are dealing with the SQL types, and you can get the class not found exception. When you are dealing with the JDBC connection, you can get this class not found exception. And you have a IO exceptions. IO exceptions arises in the time of when you are reading the input and output function. Suppose if you are trying to read a file, okay, when you are trying to read a file, what will the case if you are not find that file? What will be the case if you are not find that file? Okay, normally we have that file reading exceptions, but we are not aware about that file reading, right? Suppose I have here one file, exception of I can create a class. Okay, file reader. Okay, file reader. Suppose f equals to new file reader of. Here I can mention a file name of abc.txt, for example. Okay, for example, I am taking this. It will throws the error. What will be the error is you are going with the java.io. Okay, first I have to be import here, import java.io.star. Okay, it is a IO class, so you have to be used. And another thing, you are performing the file reading operation fine, it will be doing your fine, but what will be the case if you are not finding this text file? What will be the case if you are not find this text case, that means text file? For that you have to be handle this exceptions, throws IO exception, throws IO exception, then it will be execute fine. If, why? Because normally we already learned that, right? There are the two types of exception, runtime exception and the compile time exception. These are the compile time exceptions. Compile time exceptions are the fixed exceptions. Suppose if you go with this IO exceptions not inherited from the runtime exceptions. Before, if you observe that arithmetic exceptions and the array index out of bound exception, they are inherited from the runtime exceptions. Okay, so here you have to categorize the things. It contains throwable contains the exception. Okay, exception contains one thing as a runtime. Okay, another as a compile time exceptions or the checked exceptions. Those are directly inherited from the exception class. Directly inherited from the exception class. Those are like okay, those are like SQL exceptions, SQL injection we are calling it as SQL injection, class not found. Like this, you have a several exceptions. Those are directly inherited from the your exception class, not from the runtime exception. If you are observe the arithmetic exception class, it will be inherited from your runtime exception. That runtime exception was inherited from the exception class. The same scenario, if I go with the I can write one thing, right, comma. Suppose here you can add the multiple exceptions. Suppose if I try to add the arithmetic exception, okay. If you observe here, arithmetic exception inherited from the runtime exception. These runtime exception inherited from the exception class. But in the scenario of IO exception inherited from directly the exception class. So some are not comes under the runtime exception. Those you have to be handled at compile time exceptions, like by using the throws only. You can able to perform by using throws only. Suppose if I mention this, if the file will not found, if the file is not found, it will execute this. The normal execution flow will be fine. Suppose I don't have that abc.txt file, okay, file not found, okay. This is the statement what I am writing before. Why? Because I don't have this abc.txt. okay. If I run this, Java file, file input stream, file not found exception, abc.txt, that says it can't find that file specified, okay. File not found exceptions. In place of IO exception, I'll go with the file not found, okay, file not found exception. Exception you are getting at the line of 15. Your 15th line contains the your exception class of your file reading. So it will throws that error. It will throws that error. Why? Because I don't have this abc.txt file. So it will throws that error. For handling this, you have to be use this. What will be the case? You are not finding that file not found exceptions and all the things. But here I am not handling that error, right? So it will be not showing anything. Normally you have the two types of error. One was the checked and was the unchecked. Unchecked exceptions are calling as runtime exceptions. You can handle by using the try blocks and the catch blocks, and you can use final blocks. You can use the throw. But normally in the interviews they can ask like a question of what was the difference between a throw and the throws. What was the difference between throw and the throws? Throw will be used in a runtime exceptions. It will be helps to you throw the exception back. Helps to throw the exception back. Throws used in the compile time exception. It will be used at the method level. Okay. Here in the method you are using this exception. In the method level you are using the exception. In the method level you are able to use that exceptions, and also throw is the final statement in a block. After the throw you are not able to write anything. Why? Because throw will be the final statement. Okay. And normally what will they ask is in a basic, how can you handle the multiple exceptions of runtime? You can handle by using the multiple catch blocks, or else in a single catch block you can mention the all exceptions and you can handle the things. In a file not found exception, if you are not aware about which you can get it, you can use the throws exception. You can use the exception class also. Anything will be the it will tries to, I think I have this ABC. The system cannot find the file specified at Java base Java IO file input stream open of input stream. This will be the file reading operations. For that you know to aware about that file operations. Normally we can see that unchecked exceptions in the servlets. When we are dealing with the servlets, we are using the HTTP classes and the HTTP servlet classes. There you can observe these exceptions. Okay. For a while you have to be remember the thing of unchecked exceptions can be declared at the method level. Unchecked exceptions has to be declared at the method level, and depends on that it will be executed. Not only at the main method, you can define at any method. Why it will throws error here? Because of you are not mentioning that this throws declaration. Because of that it will throws the error. You can go with the try or catch, or else you can go with the throws declaration. Okay. Here it will be show in the file not and exception. You can use the multiple things. You can use the IO exceptions, or else you can use the exception, or else you can use the throw. Anything you can use. If I am not using this, it will the statement shows the syntax error. First it will shows the syntax error. If placing the statement only of the throws, then only it will be try to read. If it will not find that file, it will throw the error finally. It will be the other case, but it will not start. Why? Because you are not mentioning the checked exception. Why we are calling this checked exception? Because you are declaring it at the method level. That means your method is compiled. In the compilation time, it will know. So I am aware about that. I have a chance to get this file not found exception. I have a chance to get that file not found exception. Suppose I can create a text file here. New file of abc.txt. Anything. In the system cannot find the file specified. First what I have to do is for that I have to be import that file. This txt file I have to be import under the same package, right? Fine. If the file found, it will be execute the final statement in my things. If the file not found, it will throw the error. Normally it is basically first error is if you are not mentioning this file not found exception, then it will not goes to the execution of this method or the blocks of statement. That is the thing you have to be remember. This simply about the exception. Exceptions are simply when you are getting an exception, how can you handle this will be the case. Okay. Fine. Thank you.